You want people around you that trust in your ability to lead and trust in your voice, because Aries to me is also such a spiritual sign, right? I think we don't talk about Aries' spirituality enough. Aries understands the power of going first, right? When you go first, it's also a chance for you to be criticized, right? Because when you're going first, you're not looking at anyone else and how they're doing it and then changing how you're going to do it so you could do it better, right? You're doing it. And that courage leads to a lot of people having shit to say about it. And I think it's time for you to silence them, right? I think it's so important for Aries people to tune out other people's voices, because people always have a lot to say about shit that they've never done. That is the most annoying thing. One of the most annoying things about life is that people somehow have so much to say about things that they have never done or experienced in this life. And I think it's just so important for all of us to understand this, and for Aries energy to understand this, is that people are always going to say something, but I don't see them doing it. I don't see them doing it or trying it. So tune those people out and keep leading the path that you're on, because Aries energy is the leader, right? They are the first sign of the Zodiac. What's good, you guys? Welcome back to Yap Therapy. How you doing? How's your day going? I hope it's going well. In today's news of me changing the whole schedule of my videos, and you know how I said I'm going to post astrology concept videos within the podcast. So I feel like I've done this before, where we would do Zodiac reaction lists or whatever, obviously in the podcast. But now I'm going to make it a point to actually go out of my way to make sure that I'm incorporating it into every podcast episode, even though I still want it to be natural, right? I'm not going to be I have to talk about this week. It's going to be based off of what I feel like talking about, because I genuinely feel like as a watcher, as a consumer, I can tell when someone wants to be filming a video talking about something versus what they feel like they have to do because it goes with, whatever their schedule is or whatever they're used to posting. I think it's just nice to, film and speak and create from the heart. And I think that's where a lot of creators get lost in the sauce when it comes to the creative process, especially creatives that are putting their art out on the internet. It's really easy to get wrapped up into your viral moments or things that you think are going to do well, and then you consistently keep doing them in the hopes that you grow. But I feel like the more you give into what's expected of you, the further you get away from what you actually want to create. And I think that's where the magic actually lies, is that authenticity, that creative energy that is fueled from your heart. That's when you really create beautiful things, talk about great things, and maybe not so great things, but it's still coming from the heart. And I think people can feel that even if they're watching you through a screen. That's how personally I feel. So let me know if you agree. Let me know if you agree, if you can tell when people are talking about things because they want to talk about it or because they feel like they have to in order to get a viral moment, So I actually, one of you guys sent me a list on Instagram. Actually, I love it when you guys send me lists, because I'll find lists no matter what, but when you guys send it to me, it's like you're helping me out in a way. And you guys send me some really good ones. So I'm like, hell yeah. You know what? Hell yeah. So I didn't find, you guys sent me a list that's about what you'll never settle for again. And it's for each Zodiac sign. So I think it would be really fun to go through that. It's by Zodiac Reads on Instagram. So go check out their page. And if you're new here, hello. I react to Zodiac lists that I find online. There's an endless amount of Zodiac lists, and your girl here, one of the topics that I love to do is find these lists, go through each sign, tell you if I agree with it or not, and it's always just a fun conversation. So yeah, we're going to have some fun, but before I get into that, I saw this tweet that's by IVGVC. Okay, I think it's saying legacy. I don't know though. I don't know. Anyway, I'll post it here. And they tweeted, "Do you know how much chaos it took to be this calm?" And it really resonated with me, because I genuinely feel like when you are a calm person, or when you have done a lot of healing work or maybe therapy, or, you've gone through the dark nights of the soul and you come out of it and you're calm, right? Or you meditate a lot and you're calm, right? I feel like other people look at you and they're like, how are they so calm? Like, they're so calm. Or even if maybe you don't know people, right? And you see them as like happy-go-lucky, because I think that's a thing too, where people see really happy people, positive people, and they assume nothing bad has ever happened to them. You know what I mean? Or when someone is calm, they're like, oh my God, like this person's just like living their best life. Nothing bad ever happens to them. They're just always calm. Nothing bothers them. And I think it's really important to reframe that mindset and really, really think about it in this way that I'm about to tell you. Sure, there are people that are just happy because they're privileged and nothing bad has ever happened to them, right? But there's a good chunk of people that are happy and calm, and it's because they've gone through the most terrible things in life that humans can go through. And because of that, and because they were able to come out of it, that's where they were able to find their calm and their sense of peace, because they've gone through the trenches. Let me just speak on it on my, behalf. I've gone through the trenches. I've gone through so much in my life that, of course, now that I have peace and calm, I cherish it and I make sure to, fill my life with more of it, right? Like, I know what it feels like to live in chaos and to let my emotions completely overwhelm me and to let shitty situations be the main source of energy in my life, right? Like, I have been through chapters of my life where negative emotions were fueling me completely. And I just thought, like, this is my life, right? Like, I am just, Scorpio. I am just misunderstood. No one gets me. I'm too much. No one deserves all this love. And I just assume that, like, my life is chaos. Like, because of how much I feel things, because of how much I am misunderstood, or just because of everything I've gone through from childhood to teenage years, I just couldn't help but think that, like, that is the story of my life. It's chaos, right? So then when you go through your own healing journey and you evolve and your frontal lobe develops and you surround yourself with good people because you yourself have become a good person, right? Or you have healed yourself enough to know what you deserve because you have worked on yourself enough to be proud of yourself. So now, energetically, you pull in good people to you, right? That is the law of the universe. You want good people, become a good person. You surround yourself with people that are on your vibration, right? So when you do that and you're calm, I think a lot of people, if they don't know your past or if they don't know your history or what you've gone through, it's really easy for them to look at you and be like, oh, this person is just calm and happy and nothing bad's ever happened to them. Lucky them, right? Lucky them. I encourage you to find out more about people that are like that, right? Because like I said, there are plenty of people that are privileged and yeah, nothing bad has ever happened to them because they're just lucky in that way. But there are also plenty of people that are happy and joyous and calm, but it's only because they have gone through horrible things in life and have been resilient enough to come out of it. And when you come out of it, that breath of fresh air, this new energy, right? This new era that you experience after being resilient and going through pain, deep pain, nothing beats it, right? Because you've experienced the low, right? So now the high feels so fulfilling and so good. And because you've experienced the low, you have this energy. You have your own energy backing you up to never get to that place again, right? You're going to do everything you can. Not to say that things aren't going to happen. And life is just all about learning lessons, right? I've said this before, you're never going to stop having a bad day or a bad chapter. It's always going to come around because that is life, right? We're just here to learn. You're never done, right? So make peace with the fact that there's still going to be things that happen where you fuck up or bad things happen to you. But that's the beauty of going through those things in your life in the early years, hopefully, is knowing that you come out of it. So when you experience it again, when you're older, you're like, yes, this sucks right now, but I've gone through worse and come out of it and I'm going to do it again, right? That's what I encourage everyone to remember. Just know that the calmest people, the people that have found peace, they probably have a big story. They probably have chapters of their life where they were chaos personified. I can raise my hand and say, that is me. If I were to speak to Sarah when she was a kid or a teenager or even in my early 20s, she would look at me and be like, are you okay? Are you on Zoloft? Like, are you on Xanax 24/7? Why are you so calm? How are you so calm? And I'm like, oh, baby, yes, I am medicated, but I'm not medicated like that where I'm numb. I've done so much work and healing, and I've been so honest with myself and trusted the universe enough to know that I can get myself out of anything. And when life is good, I'm going to enjoy it. You know, I think that's the most important thing that I'm still working on too, is that when it's good, enjoy it. You know, not on some like, I'm going to scare you because enjoy it because something bad's coming. But like, that is just a fact, right? Like, life is just ups and downs and ups and downs. So when it's up, enjoy it, bask in it, live in it. And when it's down, know that it's going to end soon because you're going to go up again, you know? Anyway, so I think this is a great time to start our astrology segment, our zodiac list reaction segment. So like I said, this is what you'll never settle for again, right? For each zodiac sign. And we're just going to get right into it. Like I said, it's by Zodiac Reads, so go check them out. Okay, Aries. What you'll never settle for again. Being silenced. Ooh. It says they won't settle for anyone who dims their fire to feel bigger. They've learned their boldness is a gift, not a threat. Aries need space to lead, not permission to exist. They've realized their voice isn't too loud. It's just often too honest. Yes, honestly. I feel like if Aries is around people that silence them, they're intimidated by your power. You know what I mean? Aries is meant to lead, and Aries has the courage to, I always say this, be the guinea pig, right? And I think people like that are undervalued in life, right? Like, we don't think about how important it is to have that energy in this world. People that are willing to be the first one to try something, because a lot of people are overthinking it. Before it's even time for them to go, someone else is already gone because they're thinking about the risk, right? You need these risk takers in life, and Aries is one of those people. And I think if Aries is around people that are trying to dim their fire and are telling them that they're too much and that they're too aggressive, then those are not your people to be around. You want people around you that trust in your ability to lead and trust in your voice, because Aries to me is also such a spiritual sign, right? I think we don't talk about Aries' spirituality enough. Aries understands the power of going first, right? When you go first, it's also a chance for you to be criticized, right? Because when you're going first, you're not looking at anyone else and how they're doing it and then changing how you're going to do it so you could do it better, right? You're doing it. And that courage leads to a lot of people having shit to say about it. And I think it's time for you to silence them, right? I think it's so important for Aries people to tune out other people's voices, because people always have a lot to say about shit that they've never done. That is the most annoying thing. One of the most annoying things about life is that people somehow have so much to say about things that they have never done or experienced in this life. And I think it's just so important for all of us to understand this. And for Aries energy to understand this, is that people are always going to say something, but I don't see them doing it. I don't see them doing it or trying it. So tune those people out and keep leading the path that you're on, because Aries energy is the leader, right? They are the first sign of the zodiac, and people are always going to have something to say about the person that did something before them, but I don't see you doing it. So unless you do it, really, you need to shut up. Okay, next we have Taurus. For Taurus, what you'll never settle for again, inconsistent energy. They won't settle for people who show up only when it's easy. Taurus deserves steady, reliable presence, not a guessing game. They've outgrown flaky promises and shaky foundations. Consistency is no longer a request, it's a requirement. Yes. I want all Tauruses that are with people that are inconsistent to just drop them. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's stressing you out. You don't want that. You don't want that. You want to meet people where they're at, Taurus. And I think that is the issue with Taurus, is that they give people that they have chosen to love too many chances, because they find comfort in those people and their energy, right? When you find comfort, like Taurus does, the sign that is associated with comfort, when they find people that they really, really like, they're super loyal, right? So if those people just so happen to be inconsistent, Taurus is going to find an excuse to let it go. Like, oh, I'm going to teach them. Oh, I'm going to teach them. They're going to learn. They're going to learn. You need to stop teaching people how to be consistent and find people that are already consistent. You know, because during that time that they are being inconsistent, you are losing respect for them. I think that is the issue with us in this world, is that we tell ourselves, well, if I just stay long enough, maybe I can fix them and maybe I can fine tune them to have the energy that I'm looking for, the qualities that I'm looking for. So you're just like fixing them, right? And even if you do get it and they become this person, I genuinely think during that time you have built some sort of resentment. You have built some sort of resentment. And also, I don't know. I think you can't help but feel like the dominant person in that relationship if you have been the one to always better them and fix them. And that naturally, I feel like, will make the relationship not as balanced as you want it to be, because one of you is always better than the other. And maybe you won't ever say that, but you'll feel it, and then the other person feels it too, because they feel like they're always trying to catch up to your standards, right? So I think it's important for Taurus people to know that consistency is something that you value hard, right? And I think it's definitely hard nowadays for Taurus placements. I think this day and age, the day and age of situationships and people being nonchalant is really easy for some signs and not so easy for some other signs. I feel like air signs are thriving more than ever because, it's like everyone is just, they're doing whatever. Like, I don't know. Are we not? Who cares? Why do we have to put a label on it? I know Aquarius placements are thriving in these streets. And then you have, people like Tauruses, people like Cancers that are like, what is going on? I just want to settle. I just want some consistency and some love. You know what I mean? So I think it's just so important for Taurus to understand that as much as people make these promises, you can tell if someone's being consistent, because Taurus gets really, really stressed when people steer away from their plan. So if you're with someone or if you're with friends, Taurus, that are always switching up on you in terms of like what they promise and what they actually do or don't do, I think it's important to be honest with yourself about why you're keeping these people around, because I think you guys get lost in the whole loyalty aspect of it. But then your nervous system is a wreck because the people around you are just not as consistent as you, and you have lost respect for them along the way. Next, we have Gemini. So for Gemini, what you will never settle for again is surface level connections. Gemini seeks depth beneath the spark, someone who can match their mind and mood. They've learned curiosity means nothing without real care. They want to be heard with intention, not just noise. Yes, honestly, Gemini is one of the most entertaining signs because they're funny, they're witty, they can naturally get along with anyone and talk about anything. And I think a lot of times people will see that in Gemini and be interested, because who won't be interested in that? Like when someone is that witty and funny and smart, right? Jack of all trades, naturally people are going to gravitate towards them because they're fun to be around, interesting to talk to. Other people want them. So you're like, who's that? I want a piece of that, right? And I think Gemini enjoys that. But after a while, as a Gemini placement, you come to realize who's actually there because they want to understand you versus people that are there because you're just fun, right? Like you're just fun to be around. But there's only so much, depth to a kind of relationship where we're just having fun together, right? I'm not talking about like your inner child's having fun together. I think that's so important in a relationship, but that can't be the only thing, right? Having fun can't be the only thing, and you can't be the entertainer in the relationship forever, because after a while, Gemini, you're going to see that it's not equal, right? Like you're just out here being a clown and they're just here living their best life being entertained by you, right? And I think with Gemini especially, it's so important to have people around you that can read in between the lines, because Gemini is not the kind of person, the kind of sign that is going to sit there and be like, hey, I need you right now. Hey, this is what I'm going through and this is what I'm feeling, Gemini needs people around them that can understand their shifts of mood, because they're just as moody as Cancer, and keep up with them and ask them the right questions so they can release, because Gemini releases through talking, right? That is how Gemini processes emotions, is through verbalizing, talking it out. Like they just have so many thoughts. Mercury is going crazy up here. So when they have people around them that they trust, that they could just yap away with, I think that's when Gemini feels really heard and understood. And it's not like a, can we talk? And they're sitting there and it's like a whole thing. Like it just needs to naturally happen. So Gemini, it should be easy with the people that you should be around, whether it's your close friends or a partner. It should just naturally feel easy for you to talk and for them to talk back, because I think that is when the actual magic happens for Gemini. Because yes, Gemini can talk to anyone about anything, but I think it's important for your friends and partner to ask the right questions to kind of make you have this aha moment to talk and release said feeling, right? Because I think Gemini can sometimes get stuck in a loop of the same thing, and it's important for the people that love you to see you doing that and be like, hey, let's get out of this loop. And then they ask you the perfect question to make you release some things, right? Things that you were just probably thinking about up here, but you just weren't verbalizing. And I think as a Gemini moon, that is what I really, really love and value about the closest people to me, is that when I'm venting, they're always asking me questions. So follow-up questions, or just questions to make my mind release, right? Like things that I probably have been overthinking about, but I was just not talking about. They have just the perfect questions for me. And it just creates this space, right, for me to release what's been on my mind, right? And then I'm not overthinking so much anymore afterwards, because again, I released it. It feels so healing for Gemini energy to release through talking. And you want to be around people that are willing to listen and are willing to ask you the right questions, because they read in between the lines. Next, we have Cancer. Okay, so for Cancer, what you'll never settle for again is emotional neglect. They won't settle for one-sided effort and invisible pain. Cancer craves emotional presence, not performance. They've learned that nurturing others shouldn't mean abandoning themselves. Yes. Cancer can overpour into people so easily, because that is who they are, right? Cancer knows how to emotionally feed you. They're pouring into you. They're making you feel safe and heard, and they're easily giving that energy, right? And I think when Cancer is with the wrong people, people take that for granted, right? They're just like, well, this is who Cancer is. This is what they provide. Amazing. And I think because Cancer feels the need to show people how deep their love is. How deep is your love? Like Cancer, because of that, they get lost, right? They get lost in the process of showing people, hey, like, this is how much love I can give. Yeah, this is how deep my love goes for you. This is all that I can do for you, right? And if it's the wrong people, or if it's, even scarier, if it's emotionally unavailable people, they're going to know they got one, and they got a good one. And because you're so lost in proving to them how much you can love them, they're just doing their own thing, because you're going to be there and give them love no matter what, right? Like, this is what you do, right? And then after a while, when it hits you that it's just been one-sided, you will crash out. Cancer's infamous crash out needs to be studied. I don't think anybody crashes out better than a Cancer. I'm trying to think who crashes out better than a Cancer. I mean, the water signs all crash out bad. But I would say like Taurus, when it hits their breaking point, their crash out needs to be studied as well, because they just keep it under wraps for so long. And then when they crash out, I think Virgo too, actually. That Virgo crash out is actually crazy, because again, prim and proper. So when it hits a point when you're crashing out, it's a movie. It's a blockbuster movie. You know what I mean? So yeah, with Cancer, I think when they reach a point when they realize that they've been emotionally neglecting themselves, all in the hopes of proving to you how much they can pour into you, they realize they've betrayed themselves, you know? And then they're going to go crazy, because they've shown you all the best parts of themselves, right? Cancer's like, I have poured so much into you. I have given you everything I have. And now that it's not reciprocated, I'm going to show you the worst parts of me, right? Where like in a healthy relationship, you kind of get to see both all the time, right? Not on purpose, but like you're showing them your best sides. You're going through shit. You're not showing them your best sides. That's when they're there for you, right? It's a give and take, right? When you're having a bad day, your partner's pouring into you. When your partner's having a bad day, you're pouring into them. But when Cancer is, over pouring into people that aren't giving them anything back, after a while they realize, oh my God, I've been pouring so much into you, and you haven't seen me when I've gone through shit. And now I'm going through the worst shit because I've completely neglected myself. So yeah, now I'm going to show you the ugly sides of me, right? And valid. That's a valid crash out, right? But you don't want to get there. So you want to be around people that make you feel seen and heard, and that are pouring into you emotionally and are making you feel safe emotionally too, right? Okay, for Leo, what you'll never settle for again is being underestimated. They said they won't settle for people who only admire them but don't support their dreams. Leo has a heart built for big things and needs someone who shares that vision. They've learned not all attention is respect. They want to be celebrated for their soul, not just their shine. Absolutely. I think a lot of times, again, kind of similar to Gemini, people look at Leo and they're like, oh, that's someone that is charismatic and enticing and they're a star, right? Like people naturally gravitate to Leo. They're ruled by the sun, right? So the world kind of does revolve around them. And I think people that are intimidated by that, but also want a piece of that, they're going to naturally come to you, and then they're going to do that weird thing where they're trying to humble you. And it's like, why did you even come here if you want to humble me? Like, that is what I don't understand about people. Is like they're attracted to people, right? Because they're a star, or they're funny, or they're beautiful, or they're smart, or whatever, right? They're attracted to them. And then they get close to them enough for that person to give them attention, right? And then that person that was attracted to them starts humbling them. It's like, why are you here? Like, this is who I am. This is the life that I lead. This is how beautiful I think I am, how smart I am, whatever, successful I am. And that's the thing that brought you to me. But now that you're here, you want to humble me? Like, it's just so weird and sick and twisted, and people need to go to therapy. People like that need to go to therapy because you're weird. You're freaking weird. If people's, power is intimidating to you, if their beauty is intimidating to you, if their whatever, success is intimidating to you, go heal yourself or go be with people that are unsuccessful and whatever. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, why are you around people that intimidate you? And now, instead of working on yourself and figuring out why those people intimidate you, you're around them to humble them. It's weird. And I think people with prominent Leo energy, they can definitely bring in people like that. People that are at first enticed by you and your power and your energy. And then when they get there, if they're insecure, then they try to humble you, right? Then they're jealous and envious of the energy of the attention that you receive, of your success, of your creativity, of your beauty, whatever it may be. And I think it's so important for Leos to understand that not everyone around you is always going to be happy for you and for your natural charm, right? And for your natural warmth, because Leo is so good at making everyone feel warm around them. Is so good at celebrating people. Leo is one of those signs that genuinely wants to celebrate others. And I think they get a bad rep for being like the egotistical, everything revolves around them. And yes, at their lowest vibration, that is Leo, right? Like everything revolves around them. But Leo, when they're operating at their highest vibration, they're a star, but they want everyone around them to also feel like a star, right? They want to share that warmth of the sun because they genuinely believe that there's enough for everyone, right? And because that's where true confidence comes from, is when you're the shit, you don't feel like you have to bring other people down or surround yourself by people that are insecure for you to feel good, right? You know that nothing can take away from your power, right? And your success, right? Or your beauty. So you surround yourself with people that are also successful and beautiful or whatever it may be. And you pour into your people because it doesn't take away from you. So I think it's important for Leos to understand that not everyone around them wants to see them win. And you are someone that is really good at pulling in these energy vampires. So be careful. Okay, Virgo, for you, what you'll never settle for again is being taken for granted. They say they won't settle for being the fixer, the planner, the one who always holds it together. Virgos values more than what they do for others. They've learned boundaries are a form of self-respect. They no longer mistake usefulness for love. Yes, Virgo, do not settle for that. Do not settle for being taken for granted. I think everyone is so used to Virgo doing everything, like being the service-oriented type of energy and individual that takes care of things, right? Like if your Virgo placement friend is there, your Virgo partner is there, your Virgo parents there, they got this. They'll take care of it, and they will, because for Virgo, it's about also feeling emotionally regulated themselves, right? Because they can get anxiety really easily when things aren't in order in the way that they want it to be. So they take care of it. It's kind of like that person in the group project that everyone knows if that person's on their team and their group, it's going to be good, because no matter what, even if I don't do anything, that person's going to make it good, right? And everyone takes that person for granted, but like everyone needs that person, because without that person, the project would flop. Everyone would get an F. But as long as Sally the Virgo is here, she's going to make sure we get that A++++, right? So in life, I think Virgos in general are just used to doing it perfectly and making sure that everything is perfectly done, right? So I think it's important for Virgo to realize just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it for everyone, right? I think Virgo has a lot of usefulness when it comes to a lot of things, right? You guys just understand the process of doing things. You guys have your own processes in place to do things and make it good, right? Make it organized. And I think people can sometimes take that for granted. And hopefully you surround yourself with people, Virgo, that don't take it for granted and value how much you do for them. But again, it comes back to people that are users, right? So make sure you're not surrounding yourself by these people that are just expecting you to fix all their mistakes, because to you, it's like a drug. For Virgo, it's a drug. Like fixing mistakes, even if it's not their own, it's like a drug. That's why they say like Virgos, stop picking up these projects, as in like people. Stop picking up these people that are projects, because for Virgo, it's a game. They're like, how much better can I make you? And yes, sure, you can be really good at this game. In fact, you can be the best at this game, but that doesn't mean that you have the energy or the time to do this. Like, find a new hobby, Virgo, right? And I think people that are just, getting by in life and are just doing whatever, it's really, really bad. I think those people sometimes will find these Virgos, and Virgo's like, I want to fix you. And these people are like, perfect. I want to give you 20%. And they're like, perfect, But Virgo, that's just not fair to you. And honestly, it's not fair to them, because those people need to get their shit together. But they keep finding people like Virgo who are willing to give them 80% and fix all their mistakes. So now in life, they're like 50 years old, but they're, operating as like a 12-year-old, because they've always had people who take care of things for them, Next, we have Libra. Okay, so for Libra, it's one-sided relationships. Yes. Man, oh man, oh man. Okay. They won't settle for being the only one keeping peace. Libra has learned love isn't about sacrificing themselves for harmony. They deserve balance that isn't built on quiet suffering. They finally understand that mutual effort is beautiful, not optional. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. My favorite part is they deserve balance that isn't built on quiet suffering. Yeah. Do you know how often Libras that haven't stepped into their power just sit there and just silence themselves, all in the name of maintaining the peace? That is the shit that literally creates autoimmune diseases in your body. Go Google that shit. Go Google it. Maybe I'll post a relevant article here. It is literally a thing, you guys, where when you are completely tuning out your own needs and are suffering in silence and are just sitting on your anger and sadness without expressing it, it literally creates autoimmune diseases in your body. And women are actually more prone to them, because as women, we've been taught to suffer, right? If we were to overdo it, if we were to put other people ahead of us, we're selfish, right? That's what women are taught, is to take care of your partner and your kids, right, before you take care of yourself. That's what's been conditioned into our minds for so long, which is why a lot of women, especially from older generations, have all of these autoimmune diseases, right? So now coming to Libra, I think Libra a lot of times has enough grace to be able to maintain the peace in the relationship on both ends, right? Whereas it's important for two people, if they disagree on something, to talk it out and come to an understanding where both of you feel empowered in this relationship, where both of you were able to lay your cards out on the table and say what you need. And even if at first it's completely different things, hopefully through healthy conflict resolution and conversation and honesty, you were able to meet in the middle. And trust me, there is nothing more satisfying than that. And I think it's very, very, it creates a lot of anxiety for Libra thinking about conflict. But I'm here to tell you, Libra, as a Libra Mercury and as a Libra stellium in sidereal Vedic astrology, there's nothing more fulfilling than overcoming that anxiety and having these tough conversations with people and coming out of it on the other side of it and being like, wow, like, that wasn't so bad. Like, I just expressed my needs and we were able to talk about it. And I didn't betray myself by pretending that I wanted what they wanted just to maintain the peace. Because that's what it is, right? When you pretend that you agree with them, you're doing it to maintain the peace. And you're telling yourself, well, like, if I just pretend it didn't bother me, then we don't have to fight. And that's perfect. But internally, you're dying on the inside, right? And you're telling yourself, well, if I were to say what I want and it's different from what they want, or if I were to tell them it hurt my feelings, now it's going to be a fight. Okay, so it's a fight. I don't know what to tell you. So it's a fight. Like, it doesn't have to be. It could be a conversation, but if it's a fight, then it's a fight. And you need to have that courage within you to back yourself up. And I think because Libras are ruled by the 7th house of relationships, Obviously Libra puts relationships at the very, very top of their priorities, right, in life. But really, you have to remember that ultimately the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself, right? If you haven't figured out that relationship, all other relationships are going to be, they're going to emulate what you have with yourself, right? So if you don't stand up for yourself, like no matter what, your relationship isn't going to have the strongest foundation, right? Because it's fickle, right? So I think it's so important for Libra placements to understand that while relationships are so important in life, our friendships and our partnerships, they're not as healthy as you think just because there is no fighting, right? I think a lot of people that are in toxic relationships, they tell themselves, well, we don't fight, because there's toxic relationships where you're like always fighting, and then there's the toxic relationships where you're never fighting, and I'm like, you're never fighting, or is one of you or both of you just never talking about what's really bothering you? And I think that happens often in relationships with Libra placements that are still navigating their people-pleasing tendencies. So speak up, say what's bothering you. And if your relationship is so weak that this one thing makes you guys break up or ends your friendship, then that shit was weak. Really, you guys, that shit was weak. Relationships are supposed to stand the test of time. Friendships are supposed to stand the test of time, healthy ones, because life throws things at you, and depending on how strong you are and how strong your relationship or friendship is, then you can overcome it. And if the tiniest thing, the tiniest disagreement makes you guys break up or stop being friends, perfect, the trash took itself out. Next, we have Scorpio. Okay, for Scorpio, it's emotional manipulation. That's so funny because in my last video, I talked about how one of Scorpio's most toxic traits is emotional manipulation. I could see why that is something that we will never settle for again, because where do you think Scorpio's trust issues came from? It's very, very normal for Scorpio at some point in their beginning years, whatever, maybe like children, teenage, early 20s, whatever, is to go through these situations where their trust is consistently broken, where people have lied to them, and we find out that this world isn't what it seems, and that there's a lot of darkness and betrayal in this world, right? So that comes from being emotionally manipulated, right? So that's why two things can happen with Scorpios, is that we can experience those things and heal ourselves and surround ourselves by people that are amazing and honest, or we can use that trauma to be the best emotional manipulator. Because we've been emotionally manipulated, now we come out of it thinking that this world owes us something, so now we're gonna walk around and be destructive, right? So two of those things can happen. So it says for Scorpio, they won't settle for half-truths, hot and cold games, or power plays. Scorpio seeks loyalty, not control, masked as passion. They've learned their vulnerability is sacred, not a weapon to be used. Now they protect their peace like it's a secret garden. Oh, I love that. Actually, I love the part where it says they protect their peace like it's a secret garden, because I feel like that's kind of what I talked about at the beginning of this episode. I think for us Scorpios, because we understand how powerful emotions are, we can sometimes be susceptible to people, sharing their feelings with us. Again, if we don't understand these things yet, right? We can sometimes feel like, well, because someone shared this much with me, now we're really close, right? And now we have this deep bond. And I think that's where one of the biggest betrayals happens for Scorpios during their early years, is the first time we experience sharing our soul, and the Scorpio soul is just something different. Bearing our soul to someone, whether it's a friend or our first love, right? And completely having them ruin our trust, break our heart. And when that happens, that is when we become this scorpion, this vengeful scorpion that completely feels like emotions are messy, emotions are dangerous, right? So I think it's so important for Scorpios to understand that just because you experience people manipulating you or using your emotions and your depth against you, that doesn't mean that other people will do the same, right? And I think power games are such a big, big concept for Scorpios. I think that's how we feel like we can get our power back, right? Because we were made to feel so dumb for bearing our soul to the wrong people. Now we feel like, okay, I can gain that power back, right? And it's a void, right? The first few people that betrayed you, Scorpio, they stick with you, right? They stick with you because they took a part of your soul with them, or it feels like they did, right? For the longest time, I thought that they took a part of me with them, and I hated these people. And then I called my power back to me and I realized, no, that wasn't it. Sure, maybe you took my innocence from me of me thinking the world is this way and people are this way, but you didn't take a part of my soul, right? Like I did not give that to you. And if I did, it was when I was thinking I loved you, right? But now that I know what happened there, I'm like, no, I call my power back to me. I was just, living in la la land and thinking that like this was this deep friendship or relationship. So I think for Scorpios, it's so important to understand that your vulnerability is still very much sacred, and the right people will value it. And don't let the wrong interactions and the wrong people and people from your past completely darken your perspective of love and of friendship, right? It's so important to understand that, yes, while you do have the power, Scorpio, to emotionally manipulate people because of your depth and your ability to connect with people, right, emotionally really easily, a lot easier than any other sign, that doesn't mean that you need to do that in order to get the power quickly in a relationship. And I think that's what it is for Scorpios. That's how we can get the power really quickly. It makes us feel safe, right? It's like, oh, tell me about you. We create this safe space, right? When we're operating at our lowest vibration, we create the safe space for people to just overshare and tell us everything and anything, because we create that emotional space, right? And then we feel empowered because it's like, oh, I know so much about you now, right? And that doesn't always mean that Scorpios are going to be like, oh, I'm going to use this against you. But for us, it's like an emotional bank, right? Like you just invested so much into this emotional bank. And no, I'm not going to share as much about myself with you because I've done that before and it broke my trust. But I feel really, really empowered knowing that you shared a lot with me. And I think that's when it can get really, really toxic. It needs to go both ways, Scorpio. And yeah, just don't let your past relationships and betrayals stop you from opening up your heart, because your heart is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so many people will cherish it and so many people will value it. And you can still continue to protect your peace and maintain these deep, meaningful relationships. It's just, you're going to have to find the right people. Okay, next, Sagittarius, feeling caged. That's what you will never settle for again. It says they won't settle for relationships or routines that dull their spark. Sagittarius needs room to explore, expand, and express. They've learned freedom is not selfish. It's their soul's requirement. They crave a love that runs besides them, not a leash disguised as care. Ooh, and I think that's exactly what it is. I think Sagittariuses that don't know any better will have these people around them that are telling them that they're doing too much, that they expect too much, that they are irresponsible. Like they just don't understand how relationships work, right? And those are the wrong relationships. Those are the wrong friendships. If they make you feel like you need to stop running as fast and stop moving around and stop experiencing these new things and taking risks, they're not your people. They are not your people. And I think a lot of people see something pretty, see something free, and they want to cage it. Comes back to what I was talking about when it comes to Leo, right? They're enticed by something, they're into it, and then when they get close enough to get the attention of Sagittarius, then they want to keep you for themselves, right? They want to kind of clip your wings and make you second guess your natural aura, your natural essence in this life, which is one that values freedom, right? And joy and just living carefree, right? I think Sagittariuses during their younger years can definitely get caught up with the wrong people that keep reminding them what it's supposed to be like, what relationships are supposed to be like. This is what healthy relationships look like. Trust me, there are plenty of healthy, I'm putting air quotes on, there are plenty of healthy relationships where they just come home and they cook together and they go on a trip once a year and they post on Instagram 3 times a year on Valentine's Day and their anniversary and on Christmas. Like all that, they do all that shit to look like the perfect couple, and they're doing things perfectly and they're not happy, and one of them's cheating and the other one's just not into it. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it's so important to value your need for untraditional relationships, right? Like it's totally fine, and just don't assume. I think Sagittariuses, people can make you feel guilty, right? And I think that's how they try to crack you, Sagittarius, is by making you feel guilty and making you feel like you don't respect them and their relationships. And again, there can be definitely toxic Sagittariuses that maybe promise you the world and promise you stability, but are out here doing crazy things. And that's when Sagittarius is wrong, right? Like don't overpromise these things, right? But if you're being honest with people about what you want out of a relationship, and this is what I like to do, I like to travel, I don't like to be butt buddies. I don't like to be stuck on you like white on rice. And they tell you, yeah, me neither. And then slowly they start, clinging on to you and making you feel like you are doing too much for wanting this much freedom, for wanting to travel, for wanting to adventure. Then that's how you know that they were just lying. They were just lying to experience, the beauty and adventure of you, right? Because who doesn't want to be around a Sagittarius, right? Sagittarius energy is so fun. It's so exciting, right? It's adventurous. And I think a lot of people obviously want to be around that. But then when they start bonding to you and they start feeling like it's getting serious, then they're going to feel like, okay, well, you need to stay with me more, right? It slowly starts becoming a cage. And I think it's so important for Sag to not let people like that make you feel guilty for wanting different things, right? Make sure that you express what your needs are and stand firmly in your truth, and find someone, like it said, that is willing to run alongside you, that is, encouraging you to adventure and have fun, because they love seeing you in that light. They like seeing you experience this freedom, because that's where your soul's natural essence thrives. Next, we have Capricorn. So for you, what you'll never settle for again is lack of ambition. So Capricorn, it says they won't settle for people who mock their drive or can't match their pace. Capricorn doesn't just dream, they build. They've learned support should be solid, not passive. They value energy that builds, not just blends. Yeah, I think it's so important for Capricorn to have people around them that, value success as much as they do, because when you have the passion or the discipline that Capricorn has when it comes to achieving their goals or what they want out of life, you also have to be aware of people that want to take advantage of that or are secretly envious of that. Because if they don't respect the work that you're putting into whatever it is that you want, your next goal, whatever it may be, if they don't value the amount of time that you put into it and the level of self-discipline that you have for it, they're always going to be making little, snidey remarks. They're going to always say things under their breath. They're going to always, kind of try and bring you down and tell you to reevaluate your priorities. Again, I have to say, if you're a Capricorn and you have relationships and friendships and you don't give them anything and you're just stuck on, working, making money, you don't give them anything, then then maybe you shouldn't be with them, and because they deserve something from you. But what I'm talking about is when Capricorn is putting in that work and that hustle and whatever it may be, whether it doesn't even have to be just work, right? Like some Capricorns just truly love their family. Maybe they're a stay-at-home mom. They pour everything they have into something, right? And if people understand that, your level of discipline, and they're judging it, you don't want those people around you. You want people around you that are either willing to learn from you and your sense of discipline, or that respect it, right? And they provide something else in the relationship. It doesn't have to be two type A people, Capricorn. I think that's where people mistake it. They think Capricorn needs to be with a type A person, two type A people. I actually don't know if two type A people always can build a strong relationship. I'm sure they can, but in my opinion, it doesn't always have to be that. Like, it can very much be Capricorn being the hustler and the other one loving to take care of the home, right? Like putting energy into that, right? So I think it's important to find people that have energy for the things that they value and are looking at the future. And I think that's where Capricorn loses a lot of respect for people, is if they don't think about the future at all. They're just living life day by day, and they can't even tell you what they want out of tomorrow or the next week. And I think you can't want better for people, Capricorn. You can only encourage them to do things that they want to do, but you can't want better for them. Again, like Virgo, you don't have time for these side projects. And again, you won't respect them, right? You will not respect them. And maybe you do. I think maybe sometimes Capricorn, be honest with yourself. Maybe you do want a chill sign, a chill, partner that is in la la land, right? Like, as long as they're happy and they're healthy, right? So just be honest with yourself about what it is that you want, because sometimes Capricorn will want someone who is super, super disciplined like them. And sometimes maybe you actually do want someone that is the complete opposite and can ground you in another way, emotionally maybe, and make you feel like it's okay to take a breather. So I just encourage all Capricorns to just sit there and be like, what do I actually really want, right? Because there are people who are type B and are type B, but with intention, right? They move at their own pace. They're doing their own thing, but they have things that they like to do throughout the day. But then there are type B people that are just doing whatever they want every day, but they're kind of scatterbrained. You could tell they're not really happy about it. They're just whatever. That is going to bother you, Capricorn. Next, we have Aquarius. Aquarius is conformity. They won't settle for anyone who asks them to tone it down, fit in, or follow blindly. Aquarius needs room for their ideas, identity, and impact. They've learned fitting in isn't the same as belonging. They seek connection where weirdness is welcomed, not tamed. Yes. Let Aquarius experiment and try new things and be weird and be out there, right? I think sometimes, like Sagittarius, people like to box in Aquarius. That's what it is. When someone is strange or, not traditional, at first people are like, interesting. And then they get into it and then they're around it. And then maybe they're like, you know what, maybe it's too much. Now I want to calm and tame you down. Get rid of those people. Get rid of those people. We need Aquarius energy in this world because Aquarius energy is the type of energy that shows us what's possible, shows us what's missing. And you have to be thinking about the future, right? Thinking about things that haven't happened before. Have that Uranus energy in order to do things differently. And you have to be the risk taker in that sense, right? Because if you're willing to stand out like that, you have to be willing to take in the judgments of people because people love to judge what they don't understand, right? And Aquarius is that sign that actually they don't care to be understood. And yeah, a lot of people maybe don't understand them because they're actively doing things differently. And I don't know, in this world, people love to tell you how you should be, how you should operate, what kind of relationship you should have. Oh, you're this age, because you're this age, this is how you should act. And as an Aquarius, if you naturally aren't seeing that as like, no, start. Because maybe you are an Aquarius who comes from a traditional family. Maybe you're an Aquarius who is surrounded by traditional friends, right, that are doing things exactly like society tells them to do. And I think you can definitely lose your spark, Aquarius, if you're around people like that, because they will constantly remind you that you're different. And because you're different, I don't know if you're going to have the life you want. Like, this is what everyone else is doing. Say fuck all that, right? Because you have to have a strong sense of self to be around people that are traditional like that and still maintain your need to be eccentric, right? So if you are around traditional people like that and you were raised in a traditional household, just make sure that at least you find some friends, some people, some community that encourages your weird, wild side, because we need that in this world. We need Aquarius energy to remind us why it's important to stand out and why it's important to take risks and why it's important to try something new, because maybe the new way of doing things will make things so much better, but because no one was courageous enough to try it in this new way, we'll never know, right? And Aquarius is the sign that will take that first step into, completely being an outsider, right? And then suddenly everyone's doing it their way, and suddenly that's the new normal. And Aquarius is like, okay, I'm bored. I'm going to go try something new now. All right, finally we have Pisces. Okay, Pisces. This is what you'll never settle for again. Pisces, they won't settle for rescuing people who never show up for them. Pisces has deep love to give, but it needs to be safe, not self-sacrificing. They've learned love shouldn't feel like drowning. Now they only swim towards those who reach back. Yeah. Pisces loves rescuing people. Again, Virgo, their sister sign, rescues people through, acts of service, doing things for them, right? And then Pisces rescues people through emotions, right? When people get lost in their emotions, Pisces is the person that pulls them out of it and validates them. But I think, like a lot of the water signs, Pisces in general just truly knows how to make people feel seen. And people want to get lost with Pisces, right? When they're going through it. People that aren't emotionally available, they want to get lost with Pisces when they're going through it. But then when it's time for Pisces to get lost, they're not there. They're not available because to them it's too much. But when you were getting lost in your feelings, Pisces was there for you and was creating this space for you to just be your complete, reckless, crazy, wild self, emotional self. But when it's time for Pisces to go through it, suddenly people aren't around. And if people cannot handle all of your emotions, Pisces, they're not your people, right? Just because they're fun and they're nice and you know what I mean, and they like you, like that doesn't mean they're your people. If they can't handle all of your shifts and your multifaceted personality, Pisces, then they do not deserve you. And Pisces in general will sacrifice themselves for anybody that they love. They really, really will, because Pisces goes with the flow, right? Their emotions. This is a mutable water sign, right? So they will go with the flow and they'll fill in the blanks for you when it comes to your emotions, and it makes you feel safe and seen, right? But then at the end of the day, Pisces can definitely feel like there's a hole in their soul and their heart, because what they provided for you, they weren't getting it back, right? And they can be very similar to Libra in that way. where they will people please, right? They don't want to bring it up because they're scared of losing you, right? Because again, you're a part of their story. You're a part of their daydream and fantasy. And to remove this big part of it, whether it's, you, a friend who's just not emotionally available to them, it's a scary thought for them. They refuse to let go of that because you're a safety, you're an emotional anchor for them. Even if you're not creating emotional space for them to be, you're still someone that they consider, a source of comfort. So they'll just let it go and they'll just keep pouring into you. And that self-sacrificing energy, Pisces, it will get to you, and then you'll start to resent them too. But because you can sometimes be passive, you'll just neglect that friendship or relationship. And that's when Pisces ghosts, because now they're in their head and they don't have anyone around them who understands them. But they're always understanding other people. So then Pisces gets really sad and depressed. And I don't want you to feel that way. So be around people who can create a space for you to feel all of your feelings and who wants to get lost in your daydream with you. Okay? All right, you guys, and that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this zodiac list. I think it was actually really, really interesting. Let me know if it hit for you. Let me know if it hit for your moon sign, because I feel like for me, it definitely hit for my moon sign and for my Scorpio too. So let me know for what placement it really, really hit for you. I love you guys so much. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful week. Happy Leo season. Don't forget to comment about any of the topics I talked about. Don't forget to leave me a review if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, share the video or the podcast with a friend. If you think they're going to like it, share it with a friend. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.